Welcome back, Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. Devin Patrick, our producer, was just telling me about a video, I guess, or an ad. It's a campaign ad. He's telling me that I have not seen it. Maybe some of you have. That Mary Landrieu, running for re-election in Louisiana, put together, and it was a recreation of a Washington, I guess, hearing. I don't know if it's a recreation of a congressional or Senate hearing where she is coming out against certain things about Obamacare. And she's running this as a campaign ad. And it was all fabricated. So I have to look that up and see if we can, if I can find it. I want to take a look at it. Maybe some of you who live in Louisiana have seen it, but pretty interesting that I don't know how long she's getting away with it. Is it already over with? Has she already gotten caught and that's the end of it, I guess, Devin? Yeah, so I guess you won't be seeing that ad run anymore probably. But, this is how desperate they are. I mean, this is somebody, Mary Landrieu, who said that she was embarrassed of America's health care because France had such a much, we need to be more like France. She came out and said, we need to be more like France, who has one of the best healthcare systems in America. And my response to that was, she has obviously never been anywhere in Europe where she's been in an emergency room. I have been. And it is not a pretty sight. So I found that very interesting. I guess her opponent is running that ad where she was talking about France and embarrassed of America's healthcare system. I hope they are. If they're not, shame on them. Anyway, we have with us Twyla Brace, as we have on the third Thursday of every month. Twyla Brace, of course, president of Citizens Council for Health Freedom. The website for Twyla is cchfreedom.org, cchfreedom.org. And the very first thing you have to do, if you haven't done it already, is you need to go to the website and make sure you get her newsletter. And Twyla, of course, the nation's expert on Obamacare, the exchange system, and what is going on with that. I've already told you, if you've got a question, specific question, for a reference to Obamacare or one of the rules, regulations, or exemptions, you can call in, and we'll try to take a few of your calls. So you're welcome to do that now at 866-300-9298. Twyla, welcome.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
And it's great to have you back. And, it's interesting because I almost don't have to go through all of that because I get all these emails from listeners. They know you now. They know who you are, and they're looking forward to the third Thursday. So it's great, and we so appreciate you being here. What are some of the updates? I said earlier, Twyla, I don't know if you heard, but I said earlier, United Healthcare has just put out their earnings this morning, and they're down 7%. 7.8%, and they're saying it's because of the Affordable Care Act, and I find that very, very interesting. I think it's just the beginning of healthcare companies realizing exactly what is going on. So very interesting.
Well, I think the healthcare companies, I think that's an interesting piece that we don't exactly know how it's going to shake out. And part of my voice, I'm just getting over a sinus infection, so.
Oh, no.
I apologize for that. But anyway, with the health insurance companies, this really was their bill because the industry was given to them. The entire healthcare system was given to them. Everything was put into managed care. 98% of all the new spending in Obamacare went to the health insurance companies through the exchanges. But, of course, as you know, there was a lawsuit that said we don't have to purchase, and then people didn't go into the exchanges like the health plans wanted them to because President Obama kept giving this delay and that delay, and the employer mandate is still not on because of his executive delay. And so, everything is not shaking out the way the health plans were probably told. We're going to give you this whole industry. This is how it's going to happen. Just, run with us. Don't be like Harry and Louise back with the Clintons. Don't go against us. We're going to bring you in. We're going to give you everything. So just, fly with us here.
Well, and I guess I don't know if you've heard, I've heard just some rumors, but I don't think it's been substantiated yet, the amount of people, unhealthy people, compared to the younger, healthier people. And I would imagine not immediately, not this, certainly not the first quarter of this year, but at some point in time, that's got to catch up with the
Right.
healthcare
As a matter of
companies.
fact, I think one of the studies shows that more people that have signed up have need of more expensive medications. But the interesting thing that you can read about is that the health plans, because there's no pre-existing condition exclusions, because they can't ask for health status, they don't yet know really who they have. So they have started calling the people who have enrolled. They have started sending questionnaires. They are trying to figure out who they actually have in their plans, how expensive these people are going to be, what their conditions are, what their behaviors are, what their habits are, what their family situation is, so that they can have some idea of what the expense is going to be, because in no time at all, they have to come out with their new premium prices for 2015. And they have to know, they have to not lose their shirt on the deal, as it were.
Right. So, this is maybe an obvious question, but I'm sure I'd like to just ask you if you agree with this. But so if I don't have health insurance and I get diagnosed with cancer, or I think I might have cancer, or I go to a doctor and I private pay, and they say, it looks like this could be cancer. I go home that afternoon. I can now sign up for health care because I'm afraid of the catastrophic cost, and I should get covered, right?
Well, now, see, that is kind of what we all thought. Mm-hmm. But because of the disincentives in Obamacare for the health plans, in other words, because everybody can come in no matter how sick you are and they have to cover the costs, the health plans have essentially shut their doors. So it used to be that you could go get health insurance anytime you wanted to, any day. There were health insurance agents to help you. But really, the health insurance companies, for the most part now, have shut their doors, very much like the health insurance exchanges, because they do not want people to come in when they get sick, because then it becomes a huge liability for them. And as a private company, they can shut their doors whenever they want to, but you've got to wonder about, for instance, what are all the insurance agents going to do for the rest of the year until November? So there was this thought that you could just go in any time, but now it's really about if you get married, if you get a new child, if you change jobs, if you lose a job, for all that sort of thing, they're open for these new life events. But for just getting cancer, and I don't mean just but for getting sick, their doors are not open.
Well, isn't that breaking the law?
No, they can decide their own open enrollment.
So they can say they're not denying them insurance. Yeah,
I'm sorry?
I get it. They're saying they're not denying that person insurance. They're just saying not now.
Right.
They can't enroll now.
Right. You can enroll in November. Come back in November.
Right. Oh, boy.
Now, there might be some companies that are open, but, most of the news that was talked about was that most of the insurance companies have closed. And if the bigger ones are closing, the smaller ones are surely probably going to be closing, because it's even more difficult for them to handle someone expensive who's never paid a dime into the system than it is for the bigger companies.
Right. Well, it is going to be interesting, and that's why I keep talking about quality of care, and these are the kinds of events that are going to be talked about, if nothing else, in the 2016 elections.
Well,
Has anything... Go ahead.
One thing I just want to say about pre-existing conditions, because I think I hear so many Republicans saying, well, the one thing, that we need to keep is coverage for pre-existing conditions. And yes. I just want to, make people think about what they're saying, because what they're really saying is we don't have insurance anymore. because insurance is for the condition you don't yet have. And when we put a ban on pre-existing condition exclusions, when we said that an insurance company cannot say no to someone with a condition, what we said was you're no longer an insurance company. Now you are a third-party financier for all healthcare expenditures. And this is how we move to national healthcare. This is how we move to government-run healthcare. We say that there is no insurance anymore. Now it's just all about funding everybody's conditions. And so when our organization, looks at pre-existing conditions, we look at things like how do we get out of the pre-existing condition trap? Well, how did we get into it? We got into it because we started to provide health insurance through our companies. And so then as soon as you left the company, if you happened to get a condition while you were employed, now you have a pre-existing condition for, to get insurance on your own or to go to another company. Or how about if you were, 10 and you got juvenile diabetes and you're in your family policy? But as soon as your family policy is over, now you have a pre-existing condition. So what we really need are health insurance policies that parents buy before the child even emerges from the womb. Or they could buy it at the time of birth. But it would be better to do it before the child is born, and then that becomes the child's policy, and when they become an adult, they start paying for it on their own. And then we have lifetime policies. You can move anywhere you want with a job. You don't have a pre-existing condition.
Well, that is an incredible point. And as a financial person, it's not something that I've thought about when I've talked about myself saying what you just said that Republicans are saying. I myself have said, hey, pre-existing conditions, there's some merit to that. And, maybe we've got to look at that and not just, discount that. It's probably a pretty decent thing. But now that you framed it in that way, I have a whole different, immediately have a different opinion about that and a different talking point on that. Wow, that's great stuff. I really appreciate that. And by the way, folks, we're talking to Twyla Brace, president of Citizens Council for Health Freedom. And if you don't, maybe this is the first time you're hearing Twyla, but you need to go to CCH Freedom, CCHfreedom.org. You'll see all of these things throughout her website. I'm sure some of the articles and things are archived, and you can sign up for her newsletter so that you can be informed about what changes are happening, what's going on in our healthcare, in our attempt to get healthcare and to have healthcare for us. So check that out, cchfreedom.org. Is there anything, we're past April 15th. Anything developing that we should know about as a result of the IRS and how we are reporting? Of course, when I did my taxes, I thought it was interesting that I had to answer a question: is everybody in your household have health insurance? And things that we never saw before. But anything new that you need to inform our listeners about in that regard?
Well, I think the IRS has really they have been burdened, as it were, with a whole new level of activities, and not only what President Obama and company have been doing to try to target the conservative groups, right? But also by the virtue of the fact that they are the enforcement mechanism, they are the enforcement agency for Obamacare, and there have been articles that just talk about how they are fully focused on being able to do two things. One, to make sure that they penalize anyone who does not have health insurance this year, so they'll penalize them, next year when you do your taxes next year. And secondly, they are focused on making sure that that nobody gets any more subsidies through the exchanges than they're supposed to take. What the exchanges have done is they have opened up a brand new level of fraudulent possibilities, so that all of these folks who want to get, they don't want to get penalized, even though the penalty is even less than insurance is going to cost them, or the deductible is going to even cost them. But it's just an opportunity to get insurance at a cheaper rate than they should get insurance. Now, the subsidies do not go directly to them. That's an important piece that some people don't understand. That goes directly to the health plans. And so, but they can, they can find different ways of saying that they're employed or they're not employed or what their income is in order to get more of the subsidy to go to the health plan, and they have to pay less out of their pocket. So the IRS is focused on trying to police the subsidies. They're focused on trying to put everything into place to get the penalties that start next year. And they're already starting, of course, to collect taxes. You may recall that Drudge put out a tweet saying he was already having to pay his, I think he called it a liberty tax.
Yes.
So, that is all beginning. And more people are going, the full effect of this, the full sort of tangible, culpable feel of Obamacare is going to get more and more real the further we march down this road.
We are talking to Twyla Brace. She is president of Citizens Council for Health Freedom. Her website is cchfreedom.org. We're going to go to break. When we come back, Twyla is going to answer some of your questions in regards to the Affordable Care Act. You can call 866-300-9298. We've got one line open, 866-300-9298. You're listening to Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia with our special guest, Twyla Brace. We'll be right back after this.